This audiobook reveals the sacred truth behind the phase of life, the powerful space between what was and what will be. If you feel paused, uncertain, or undone, you are not stuck. You are being prepared. As you listen, you'll discover how the law of attraction works most powerfully in this quiet phase of becoming. The phase of life. Introduction. In the space between what was and what will be, you stand at a sacred threshold. This moment of transition holds more power than you realize, for it is here, in this sacred void, that the universe conducts its most masterful work of transformation. Like a caterpillar dissolving in its chrysalis, you, too, are being reformed at the deepest level. The law of attraction operates most potently in these liminal spaces. When your old identity begins to fade and the new has not yet crystallized, you enter the fertile ground of pure potential. Here, manifestation requires a different kind of strength, not the forceful energy of doing, but the receptive power of becoming. You may feel lost in this space between stories. The familiar landmarks have vanished, and the new map hasn't yet emerged. But what appears as uncertainty to the human eye is actually divine reorganization at work. The universe is not punishing you with confusion. It is preparing you for expansion. In this sacred pause, your vibration naturally recalibrates to align with your emerging reality. Fighting this process only creates resistance. Instead of struggling to manufacture clarity, allow yourself to rest in the wisdom of not knowing. Trust that clarity will find you when the timing is right. Your only task in this space is to remain open and receptive. Let go of the need to understand or control the process. The law of attraction responds not to your striving, but to your surrendered allowing. This is how quantum leaps in consciousness occur, not through forcing, but through yielding to the intelligence that orchestrates all transformation. Remember, you are not stuck. You are gestating. You are not lost. You are being redirected. You are not falling behind. You are being prepared. The universe has not abandoned you in this void. It has brought you here precisely because this is where your next level of becoming must begin. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Quiet Undoing. Chapter 1. The Voice Beneath the Noise. In the gentle light of dawn, Hazel sat motionless on her weathered porch, watching the world awaken. The morning air held that peculiar stillness that comes in the spaces between seasons. Not quite summer, not quite autumn. Much like the path before her now, suspended between what was and what would be. For 30 years she had poured her heart into a small bookstore that now stood empty, its shelves cleared, its stories finding new homes. Yet in this pause, this sacred emptiness, Hazel discovered something remarkable. The silence that filled her days wasn't a void. It was alive with possibility, humming with the energy of pure potential. The law of attraction operates with exquisite precision through our feelings. Like a radio receiver, your emotional frequency determines what signals you catch from the infinite broadcast of the universe. In moments of transition, when the old frequency fades and the new one hasn't yet crystallized, silence becomes your most powerful ally. It clears the static of fear, doubt, and attachment, allowing the pure signal of your desires to emerge with crystal clarity. This truth found its mirror in Clarence, whose story reaches across town to touch Hazel's. In his small workshop, surrounded by timepieces that had marked countless moments, Clarence made a curious discovery. His collection of broken clocks, silent for years, would suddenly chime, but only in moments when his heart swelled with gratitude. At first he thought it coincidence, but as the pattern repeated he understood. The universe keeps perfect time, synchronized not to our watches, but to our state of being. The wisdom hidden in these parallel experiences whispers an ageless truth. What appears as waiting is actually the universe's precise calibration. Just as Clarence's clocks responded to the frequency of appreciation, your life responds to the vibration you maintain in times of apparent stillness. Ancient practice for aligning with divine timing. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and settle into a state of calm confidence. Feel the vibration of absolute trust flowing through every cell of your body, as if the perfect timing has already manifested. Let this quiet certainty become the magnetic force that draws your good to you. Hold this practice for at least 7 minutes each day, allowing the power of your aligned energy to become the bridge between now and what awaits. Chapter 2. The Weight of Letting Go. The soft evening light filters through Mabel's window as she sits at her kitchen table, her fingers tracing the edges of a photograph worn smooth by years of touch. In the image, a younger version of herself stands before a grand building, her smile bright with certainty about the path ahead. That path, the one she had mapped with such precision, now feels like a story belonging to someone else. The way of manifestation moves not through desperate clutching, but through graceful release. Like water finding its natural course, the universe flows most powerfully when we cease struggling against its current. Your deepest desires already exist in the infinite field of possibility. They await not your striving, but your surrender. Each time Mabel's fingers tighten around the photograph, she feels the familiar ache of resistance. Yet the law of attraction responds not to the intensity of your wanting, but to the openness of your receiving. When you release your grip on how life should unfold, you create space for the universe to reveal what has been waiting all along. In a garden at the edge of town, Leon kneels in the rich earth, his weathered hands moving among the plants. For years he had battled against the soil, forcing growth where it refused to come. His flowers withered despite his increasing efforts, until one morning, exhausted, he simply sat among the weeds and listened. "The earth speaks in whispers," he would later say, "but we drown it out with our demands." When Leon finally loosened his grip on his garden's destiny, he discovered that the soil had its own wisdom. The weeds he had fought so fiercely were actually preparing the ground, their roots breaking up the clay to allow for deeper growth. Just as Leon's garden flourished when he learned to work with nature rather than against it, your life expands when you release your attachment to specific outcomes. The photograph in Mabel's hands was never meant to be a blueprint. It was merely a stepping stone on a far grander journey. This truth echoes through the ages. What you release with grace returns transformed. The universe cannot fill hands that refuse to open. Your tight grip on past plans creates resistance to the very abundance you seek to attract. Practice. Find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as fertile soil, rich with possibility. Take a deep breath, and with each exhale, Feel yourself releasing the weight of outdated plans and expectations. Let your body soften, becoming as receptive as freshly tilled earth. When you feel completely open, speak these words aloud. I am ready to be surprised. Remain in the state of spacious allowing, feeling how your new vibration naturally attracts all that aligns with your highest good. Chapter 3. The Mirror and the Morning Light. In the ancient hills beyond the city lived Betsy, who spent each sunrise scrutinizing her reflection with the intensity of an appraiser examining precious gems. She searched her face and form for signs that her dreams had begun to materialize, convinced that seeing would lead to believing. The wisdom whispers differently. Your physical reality follows your inner state like a shadow follows form. When you grasp for evidence before allowing faith to take root, you place the cart before the horse, creating resistance to the very manifestations you seek. The law of attraction responds not to what your eyes perceive, but to the unwavering conviction in your heart. This truth remains unchanged since time immemorial. Belief shapes evidence, never the reverse. Your external world will transform only after your internal landscape has shifted. Along the misty shores of a distant coast lived Otto, a fisherman whose nets often returned empty. Day after day, he cast his lines with trembling hands and anxious thoughts, his mind filled with memories of past disappointments. The other fishermen spoke of his poor fortune, and Otto believed them, casting his nets with ever-increasing desperation. One morning, exhausted by worry, Otto surrendered to the rhythm of the waves. As he cast his net, a smile crossed his face, not from hope of catch, but from simple joy in the dance of wind and water. That day his net grew heavy with fish. The next dawn he cast again with the same lightness of spirit, and again the sea proved generous. Otto discovered that abundance flowed not from his straining, but from his state of being. Like Otto's nets, your intentions travel on the current of your emotions. When you approach the mirror with anxiety, searching for proof of change, you create the very resistance that blocks your desires. But when you stand before your reflection with joy and certainty, you open the floodgates of manifestation. Your mirror is not meant to be a judge, but a sacred space where you witness your transformation unfolding. Each reflection offers a chance to choose. Will you search for evidence, or will you emanate the truth you wish to see? The ancient practice. Stand before your mirror each dawn and smile at your reflection as though you are already living in answered prayers. Let your body absorb and memorize the feeling of fulfillment. Transform this daily moment from inspection into celebration until your mirror becomes not a test of progress, but a portal through which your desires flow into being. Chapter 4. The Invitation of Fear. In the depths of an ancient valley, there lived a woman named Dolly who stood at the edge of her familiar world, her heart pounding before an invitation that would reshape her path. Though blessed with talent and preparation, she mistook the quickening of her spirit for a warning to retreat. Yet within this trembling lay a truth as old as the stars themselves, that the energy of fear and the energy of emergence flow through the same sacred channels. The law of attraction speaks not in the language of comfort, but in the currency of growth. When you feel the ground beneath your feet begin to shift, remember that this sensation, this holy trembling, is not a sign to turn back, but rather the universe's recognition of your readiness to expand. Like a butterfly sensing its wings for the first time, the discomfort you feel is simply your spirit testing its new dimensions. Consider young Silas, who earned his wings in the endless skies above the mountain peaks. In his early days of flight, turbulence would send waves of panic through his body, his hands gripping the controls with desperate force. But an elder pilot shared with him the wisdom of the horizons, that even in the midst of nature's chaos, the distant line where earth meets sky remains unwavering. "Fix your gaze upon the horizon," the elder advised, "and let your hands become light upon the controls. For it is not in fighting the air that we master it, but in dancing with its currents." Through countless flights, Silas discovered that when he focused on that steady line of light, rather than the shaking of his aircraft, his fear transformed into an electric awareness that enhanced rather than hindered his abilities. The turbulence remained, but his relationship to it had fundamentally shifted. So too must you understand that the trembling you feel before new horizons is not a warning, but an awakening. The law of attraction responds not to your comfort, but to your alignment with growth. When you stand at the threshold of expansion, feeling your heart race and your breath quicken, know that these sensations are the physical expression of potential recognizing itself. The universe speaks in the language of energy, and fear is simply the dialect of transformation misinterpreted by an untrained ear. Your task is not to eliminate these sensations, but to translate them correctly, to understand them as the stirring of your spirit preparing for flight. Practice. Each time you feel fear rise, breathe gratitude into it as though it were proof of your growing capacity, thanking it for showing where your next level of trust awaits. Let your breath flow into these sensations with appreciation rather than resistance, acknowledging them as the sacred signals of your expansion. In this way, fear becomes not an obstacle to overcome, but a companion guiding you toward your next evolution. Chapter 5. The Currency of Gratitude. In a small apartment above bustling city streets, Nora sat at her worn kitchen table each morning, circling bills in red ink and counting pennies. Her eyes fixed on what was missing: the empty chair across from her, the bills that overwhelmed her modest income, the dreams that seemed to slip further away with each passing month. Like water flowing through cupped hands, abundance appeared to escape her grasp, no matter how tightly she held on. Yet, the universe operates through an ancient principle. What you count, you create more of. Your attention is the soil in which reality grows. When you plant seeds of lack, more lack sprouts. When you water gratitude, abundance blooms. The law of attraction responds not to your circumstances, but to your recognition of good. It amplifies whatever signal you broadcast most consistently. If your inner dialogue dwells on absence, the universe can only echo that frequency back to you. But when you shift your focus to appreciation, you activate a different creative current. In a quiet neighborhood across town lived Clyde, who inherited his father's struggling bakery. Rather than fixating on dwindling customers and rising costs, Clyde began a simple practice. As he kneaded each loaf of bread before dawn, he whispered blessings of gratitude for the warmth of the ovens, for the smell of yeast, for the texture of flour between his fingers. He thanked the ingredients for their nourishment and blessed each person who would later taste the bread. Gradually, something shifted in the bakery's atmosphere. Customers began lingering longer, sharing stories over coffee and warm rolls. The space filled with laughter and conversation. Even the bread itself seemed to carry a special sweetness, as though baked with an invisible ingredient of joy. Without changing his prices or his recipes, Clyde found his small shop transforming into a cherished community gathering place. The truth revealed through Clyde's story is that gratitude is not merely a response to abundance. It is the very frequency that calls abundance forth. When you bless what you have, you tune your energy to receive more to be thankful for. Appreciation is the spiritual currency that purchases expanded good. Your circumstances may appear fixed, but they are actually fluid, responsive to the vibration you maintain. Each moment of gratitude sends ripples through the quantum field, rearranging particles of possibility into new patterns of prosperity. Begin and end every day, naming inwardly what softens your heart, and feel the hum of abundance echo back as life reshapes itself in answer. Chapter 6. The Compass of Desire. In the heart of a seaside town, Lillian sat at her window, gazing at the distant horizon where ocean met sky. Each morning she would unfold her journal filled with dreams, some modest, others vast as the sea before her. Yet with each passing day she found herself hesitating to write new ones, fearing that her desires might be too grand, too ambitious for someone of her station. The universe speaks through the language of desire. What you perceive as wanting too much is actually the cosmic compass pointing toward your highest evolution. These longings that stir within you are not random wishes, but sacred coordinates encrypted in the heart's deepest chambers. When you feel drawn toward something with inexplicable magnetism, you are receiving signals from your soul's intended path. Consider how a flower doesn't question its inherent drive to reach toward sunlight. It doesn't measure whether it deserves the warmth or if its petals are worthy of such radiance. The yearning itself is nature's wisdom moving through it. Similarly, your desires are the universe's way of calling you toward your most authentic expression. Ernest, a cartographer who never left his small village, spent his days creating intricate maps of lands he'd never seen. His neighbors called it wasteful dreaming, but Ernest knew differently. Each time his pen traced a mountain range or river valley, his heart would fill with such joy that the very air around him seemed to shimmer with possibility. Though his feet never touched those distant shores, his soul had already traversed them countless times. His vibration matched the essence of exploration so completely that travelers began appearing at his door, drawn by an inexplicable knowing that his maps held special wisdom. The power lies not in the physical manifestation alone, but in the energetic alignment that desire creates. When you allow yourself to fully embrace a longing, to feel it, celebrate it, honor it without judgment, you enter into resonance with its essence. This resonance is the first step of manifestation, the point where spiritual becomes material. Your desires are not random accidents or tests of character. They are light signals guiding you home to your highest potential. The universe plants these seeds of longing precisely because you are ready to nurture them into being. Rest within your brightest wish, as though its essence is already part of your breath, allowing the feeling of its truth to teach your reality which direction to unfold. Chapter 7. The Dance of Resistance. There once lived a woman named Millie who kept a peculiar habit. Each time her dreams drew near enough to touch, she would find some reason to step back into shadow. Success would hover like a butterfly ready to land, yet she would wave it away with doubts and excuses. This pattern repeated so often that the universe itself seemed to sigh with knowing patience. In moments of transition, you may recognize yourself in Millie's dance. What appears as self-sabotage is actually an ancient wisdom at work, the law of attraction bringing buried beliefs to the surface so they may finally dissolve in the light of awareness. When resistance rises as success approaches, it signals not failure, but breakthrough. These moments of hesitation are sacred clearings, where old stories of unworthiness surface to be released. The universe operates through completion, not perfection. This truth became clear through Floyd, an artist whose studio walls displayed dozens of unfinished paintings. Each canvas held moments of pure inspiration, yet none were signed. Floyd would work in bursts of creative fire, then halt at the first glimpse of imperfection. He would attempt to fix what he saw as flaws, only to lose the original spirit of the work entirely. His masterpieces remained perpetually almost done, trapped in cycles of endless refinement. One day, while furiously painting over a nearly complete piece, Floyd's brush slipped. A streak of crimson cut across the canvas, an accident he couldn't control. In that moment of surrender, he stepped back and truly saw his work for the first time. The mistake had somehow completed the painting in a way his careful corrections never could. Through releasing his grip on perfection, Floyd had finally allowed the art to breathe. Your own path of manifestation follows this same principle. When you feel yourself pulling back from success, remember that perfection is not the goal. Alignment is. The universe responds not to flawless execution, but to the authentic energy you emit. Your willingness to be seen, even in your incompleteness, creates a magnetic field far stronger than any carefully controlled facade. The path opens not through mastery, but through surrender. Just as Floyd's accidental brush stroke completed his painting, your supposed missteps and imperfections may be the very elements that perfect your journey. The law of attraction works through resonance, not resistance. When you release the need to orchestrate every detail, you allow the universe to arrange outcomes far more elegant than your mind could plan. Ancient practice. Whenever you feel the urge to tighten your grip, exhale and softly say, "Even unfinished is divine," letting ease recalibrate your magnetism. Chapter 8. The Serenity of Trust. In the quiet dawn, Goldie stood at her window watching the sun struggle through morning fog. Day after day, she waited for absolute certainty before taking action on her deepest aspirations. The mist became a metaphor for her hesitation, always waiting for it to clear completely before stepping forward. The universe speaks through action, not contemplation alone. Each moment spent waiting for perfect visibility is a moment when your creative force remains dormant. The law of attraction responds not to your thoughts of movement, but to the energy of actual motion. When you step forward, even in uncertainty, you activate the magnetic power of commitment. Consider the fog itself as sacred. It is not an obstacle, but a veil between what is and what shall be. Your forward motion creates the very clarity you seek. This is the paradox of manifestation. Certainty follows action, not the other way around. The universe cannot guide a stationary ship. In a small riverside town lived Amos, keeper of the old wooden bridge. Each morning, regardless of weather, he would make his inspection rounds. On particularly foggy days, when the mist was so thick he could barely see his own feet, Amos would still walk the length of the bridge. "The planks know me," he would say, "and I know them." One such morning, as the fog wrapped the bridge in its gray embrace, a traveler waited nervously at the edge, unwilling to cross. Amos simply nodded and began his walk, each step confident despite the hidden path ahead. The traveler watched in amazement as Amos seemed to summon solid ground from nothingness with each forward step. "How do you know where to place your feet?" the traveler called out. "I don't wait to see. I trust, and seeing follows," Amos replied, his voice carrying back through the mist. "The bridge has always been here, whether I can see it or not." Just as Amos trusted the bridge beneath the fog, your path exists complete in the fabric of the universe. Your movement activates its revelation. Each step taken in faith magnetizes clarity to meet you halfway. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and stand with your eyes closed. Picture your path extending before you, illuminating one step at a time as you move forward. Take 3 physical steps, feeling golden light appear beneath each footfall. With each step, speak aloud, "I trust the path that unfolds beneath me." Make this your morning practice. 3 steps of physical trust before beginning your day. Let your body learn that movement summons light, that action precedes clarity, that faith is the foot that finds the way. Chapter 9. The Gift of Pause. In a small valley town, June paced her garden path each morning, counting the days since her last achievement. Where progress once bloomed, anxiety now sprouted. Her hands trembled as she touched dormant flower buds, interpreting their winter sleep as failure rather than nature's wisdom. The universal law moves in cycles of motion and rest, like breath itself. When you resist these natural rhythms, you create resistance to the very flow attempting to carry your dreams to shore. What appears as stagnation is often sacred assembly, the universe gathering resources, aligning circumstances, and preparing synchronicities that will bloom in perfect season. Just as seeds require darkness before reaching toward light, manifestation demands periods of quiet integration. These moments of pause are not punishment but preparation. The law of attraction continues its precise orchestration, even when the stage appears still. It is during these silent intervals that the most powerful transformations take root. Harold understood this truth through the seasons of his beloved music shop. Each winter, he would close its doors, letting silence fill the space where melodies once played. Though customers worried the shop would fade into memory, Harold felt a deeper wisdom in the quiet. When spring returned, new songs seemed to spring forth from the very walls, as if the stillness had been composing all along. Students arrived with fresh enthusiasm, instruments revealed unexpected harmonies, and the shop hummed with a vitality that could only have grown from rest. Your journey follows similar rhythms. When momentum appears to slow, the universe hasn't abandoned your dreams. It's orchestrating their arrival with greater precision than your mind could engineer. Just as Harold trusted the silent months would enrich his music, your periods of pause are enhancing, not diminishing, your manifestations. The stillness you perceive is like the surface of a lake at dawn. Though motionless above, currents of creation move steadily below. Every moment of apparent inaction is filled with invisible arrangement, every period of rest pregnant with potential. The law of attraction requires these intervals to weave the fabric of your desires with lasting strength. Ancient practice. Give yourself permission to slow the tempo of your days, breathing peace into pauses until they hum with creativity beneath calm. When urgency rises, place one hand on your heart and whisper, "All is aligning in divine time." Let each exhale carry you deeper into trust, knowing that within this sacred stillness, your dreams are taking exquisite form. Chapter 10. The Art of Beginning Again. Long before the sun rises, Pearl stands at her window watching darkness slowly dissolve into dawn. Her fingers trace old scars on her palms, remnants of times she had fallen, failed, or faltered. Each mark seems to whisper stories of paths abandoned, dreams surrendered, and promises left unfulfilled. The weight of these memories holds her back from stepping into new beginnings, as though past disappointments have permanently marked her future. Yet within this ancient wisdom lies a truth as old as time itself. Your vibration is not a recorded history, but a living frequency that renews with each breath. The law of attraction responds not to what was, but to what is being offered now. Like morning dew that forms fresh regardless of yesterday's weather, your point of attraction refreshes itself moment by moment, waiting for your permission to begin again. Vincent's story echoes this eternal truth. Once a celebrated marathoner, his identity was shattered by an injury that ended his running career. For months, he refused to move at all, believing that if he couldn't run marathons, movement itself had lost its meaning. But as seasons turned, he discovered something unexpected in simply walking. Without the pressure of competition or past glory, he found joy in the gentle rhythm of his feet against the earth. Each step became not a reminder of what was lost, but an invitation to what could be discovered. Through this acceptance, Vincent didn't just find a new way to move. He found a new way to be. The universe holds no ledger of your past attempts. It responds purely to the vibration you offer in this moment. Think of yourself as a garden. Yesterday's withered blooms do not determine tomorrow's flowers. Each season brings its own possibility for growth, unencumbered by what came before. Your past experiences were never meant to be credentials for future joy. They were simply stepping stones leading you to this moment of choice. Every perceived failure has taught you something vital about what you truly desire, clarifying your ability to align with what you seek. The practice of beginning again is as natural as dawn following night. Each sunrise offers a pristine canvas, unmarked by yesterday's brushstrokes. Your power to create anew remains constant, regardless of what has come before. When you greet each dawn, stand before the mirror and witness yourself as if meeting someone brave for the first time. Let your eyes be gentle, your heart open to possibility. Whisper words of forgiveness for all that has been, allowing yesterday's lessons to transform into soft light, illuminating your path forward. In this sacred moment of fresh beginning, feel the vibration of unlimited potential coursing through you, pure, unmarked, and ready to align with all that you are becoming. This practice of renewal is not about erasing what was, but about allowing what is. Let each breath remind you that the universe's ability to respond to your desires remains eternally fresh, waiting for you to simply begin again. Part 2. The Turning Within. Chapter 11. The Worth Already Won. An artisan's daughter lived in a small village, spending her days seeking approval from everyone she met. Each morning, Ellie would adjust her appearance, her words, and her actions based on the reactions of others. She measured her worth through their nods of approval and felt hollow when their attention turned elsewhere. The universe speaks through the mirror of your relationships. When you search outside yourself for validation, you create an energy of lack that pushes away the very recognition you seek. The law of attraction responds not to your actions, but to your relationship with yourself. Each time you wait for others to confirm your value, you broadcast a frequency of doubt that echoes back as more reasons to doubt. In the sacred mathematics of manifestation, self-regard multiplies while self-doubt divides. Your opinion of yourself is the first vibration you offer to the universe, and all other energies align with this primary signal. When you stand firmly in your own light, external approval becomes not a necessity but a natural reflection of your inner radiance. In a neighboring town lived Chester, a master tailor who learned this truth through his craft. For years he stitched garments dutifully but without joy, watching his clientele slowly dwindle. One day, he decided to sew only when feeling proud of his artistry. He would pause his work if doubt crept in, resuming only when his hands remembered their wisdom. Within weeks, his shop filled with customers drawn to garments that carried the invisible signature of self-trust. Chester's story unveils a universal principle. What flows from confidence returns with abundance. His needle and thread wove not just fabric, but faith, creating a tapestry of mutual recognition between craftsman and client. The garments became vessels of dignity because they were crafted from a place of inner knowing. Your worth resides not in the eyes of others, but in the quiet certainty of your own heart. Like Chester with his needle, you must first thread your own consciousness with golden strands of self-acceptance before the world can reflect back your true value. Ancient practice. Close your eyes and breathe love into the center of your chest until you sense quiet recognition. Worthiness requires no witness. Chapter 12. The Whisper of Intuition. In a coastal village, Sadie stood at life's crossroads, her heart fluttering with inspiration she dared not trust. Each morning, she felt subtle urgings toward a path unknown, gentle nudges to speak her truth, to create art that lived in her dreams, to reach for opportunities that sparkled at the edge of her vision. Yet doubt clouded these precious moments, turning crystal clarity into foggy hesitation. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. When you question these sacred promptings, you create resistance in the very stream meant to carry you toward your desires. The law of attraction responds with perfect precision to your inner state. When doubt becomes your companion, delay becomes your path. In the art of manifestation, intuition serves as your most intimate ally. These quiet knowings are not random thoughts, but divine intelligence flowing through you, offering guidance already aligned with your highest good. Each time you honor these subtle signals, you strengthen the bridge between your conscious mind and universal wisdom. Consider Rudy, whose nights were spent in solitude atop his lighthouse tower. One evening, despite all instruments showing proper alignment, He felt an inexplicable urge to adjust a single lens by mere degrees. That same night, 3 ships navigated treacherous waters safely, never knowing how close they had come to disaster. Rudy never saw the vessels he saved, but the universe worked through his willingness to trust what he felt rather than what he could prove. Your intuition, like Rudy's, connects to a wisdom far greater than logical understanding. The universe doesn't require you to see the entire journey. It asks only that you trust the next step being revealed. Each moment of inspiration is a lighthouse beam, cutting through fog to guide you home. When you learn to trust these inner promptings, you align with the very force that orchestrates constellations and turns seeds into flowers. Your role is not to question the how or why, but to remain open to the guidance that flows naturally through you. Practice. Sacred intuitive alignment. Find a quiet moment each day where you can be undisturbed. Close your eyes and bring awareness to your body. Notice the subtle sensations that arise when you think of different choices before you. Pay special attention to any feeling of expansion, lightness, or quiet excitement. These are your inner compass pointing toward your highest timeline. Honor these gentle nudges as the universe's way of guiding you toward your greatest good. Make it your practice to act on these whispers of wisdom, knowing that each time you trust your intuition, you strengthen your connection to universal intelligence. Chapter 13. The Language of Thought. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Annie stood behind her wooden stall, lamenting to passers-by about the scarcity of customers, the rising costs, and the weight of her struggles. With each utterance of lack, her words hung heavy in the air, creating an invisible barrier between her offerings and those who might have stopped to browse. The universe operates through vibration, and your words are the instruments through which you conduct its symphony. Each syllable carries a frequency that ripples outward, touching the fabric of creation itself. When you speak, you are not merely describing your reality. You are weaving it into being, thread by sacred thread. Your tongue is a wand, and every word you utter is an incantation cast into the field of infinite possibility. The law of attraction responds not to your wishes, but to the vibrational signature of your consistent speech. It cannot distinguish between complaints voiced in frustration and orders placed with the cosmos. It simply matches and multiplies whatever frequency you maintain. In a small flower shop across town, Ralph noticed his business slowing during winter months. Instead of bemoaning empty aisles, he began speaking differently. "The shop is preparing for spring's abundance," he would say with quiet certainty. "These moments of stillness are nature gathering her strength." He described each inquiry as the first drops of a coming rainfall of orders, and every sale as seeds of prosperity taking root. Within weeks, his shop began to fill. Customers remarked on the peaceful atmosphere, drawn to the energy of expectancy that filled the space. Ralph had not changed his inventory or prices. He had simply altered the vibration of his words, and reality reshaped itself to match his new frequency. This truth extends beyond the realm of commerce into every corner of existence. Your words are architects of experience, building bridges or barriers between you and your desires. When you speak of illness, you strengthen its grip. When you talk of limitation, you construct its walls. But when you voice vitality, you summon its power. When you articulate abundance, you clear its path. The law of attraction invites you to become conscious of this sacred technology of speech. Your voice is an instrument of creation, and the universe attunes itself to your every proclamation. Choose words that paint the reality you wish to inhabit, not the one you wish to leave behind. Ancient practice. Sit in silence each morning and evening. Feel the power of speech stirring within you. Then, with deliberate care, speak about your life as though you were blessing it. Let every sentence plant a kindness you wish to harvest. Transform complaints into declarations of becoming. Where you once said, "I am trying," say, "I am succeeding." Replace "I hope" with "I know." Watch as your words become the seeds of your tomorrow. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Mirror of Forgiveness. In a small village among ancient hills, Cora carried her regrets like stones in a basket, each one weighing heavier with passing time. Every morning, she would trace the lines of her memories, polishing them with worry until they gleamed with fresh pain. The universe watched as she turned these moments over and over, not realizing that her tight grip on past mistakes was blocking the flow of new blessings. The law of attraction responds not to what happened, but to the energy we hold around it. When you clasp old wounds close to your heart, you unknowingly broadcast their frequency into your future. Like attracts like, and the vibration of self-judgment magnetizes situations that mirror your inner conviction of unworthiness. Yet within this principle lies the seed of liberation. Your power to transform your life exists not in undoing what was, but in releasing its hold on your present vibration. Forgiveness is not about erasing history. It is about energetic freedom. When you withhold forgiveness from yourself, you essentially place your spirit in a prison of your own making, and the law of attraction can only echo back experiences that match this confined state. In the clockmaker's district of the same village lived Edwin, whose reputation had dwindled as his timepieces fell silent one by one. For months he blamed himself for losing his touch, until he discovered that rust had gradually accumulated in the mechanisms. As he carefully cleaned each gear and spring, something remarkable occurred. Not only did the clocks resume their rhythm, but time itself seemed to flow more freely in his shop. Customers reported feeling lighter upon leaving, as though years of tension had dissolved. The wisdom in Edwin's discovery transcends the mechanical. Just as rust can impede the delicate dance of gears, unforgiveness creates energetic corrosion in the mechanics of manifestation. When Edwin removed the rust, he wasn't erasing the past. He was simply allowing motion to resume. Similarly, self-forgiveness doesn't change what happened, but it releases the energetic obstruction that prevents new possibilities from emerging. Your past experiences were neither mistakes nor failures. They were the universe's way of shaping you into who you are becoming. Each moment you labeled as wrong was actually an essential step in your soul's evolution. By holding those moments in judgment, you anchor yourself to their vibration. But when you forgive, you clear the channel through which abundance flows. Through forgiveness, you are not pardoning the past. You are liberating your future. The universe cannot deliver new experiences through channels clogged with old regrets. When you release self-judgment, you create space for grace to enter. Practice. Find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. Inhale compassion for your younger self, drawing in the understanding that you did the best you could with what you knew at the time. As you exhale, release the weight of judgment, watching it dissolve into relief. Visualize the air between your past and present shimmering clean and clear, like morning light through fresh rain. Let each breath purify the space between what was and what will be, until you feel the gentle current of possibility flowing freely once again. Chapter 15. The Dream as Map. In a small attic room filled with crumpled papers, Ida sits hunched over her desk, crossing out lines in her journal. Each time an inspiring thought arises, she hastily dims its light, convinced that practical minds must guard against flights of fancy. "These are just foolish dreams," she whispers, tearing another page free. The universe speaks in pictures before words. Your imagination is not a distraction from reality. It is reality in its first breath of becoming. When you envision something vividly, you are not escaping the present, but rather witnessing the future as it forms in the ethereal realm. These visions are sacred blueprints, transmitted through the language of inspiration. The law of attraction responds not to what you see with your physical eyes, but to what you hold steadily in your mind's eye. Each time you allow yourself to dream freely, you open a channel through which the universe can pour its infinite possibilities. Your role is not to question or diminish these visions, but to receive them with the pure joy of a child discovering magic. In a humble workshop across town lived Grover, whose hands were always dusted with pencil lead. He filled notebooks with drawings of machines that existed nowhere but in his mind. While others scoffed at his impossible designs, Grover noticed something peculiar. Whenever he sketched with lightness in his heart, letting laughter guide his hand, those very inventions would find their way into reality. A chance meeting with an investor, an unexpected letter, a coincidental conversation. The universe would orchestrate the perfect circumstances for his visions to materialize. Through Grover's experience, we glimpse a profound truth. Creativity is not a solitary act, but a divine collaboration. When you allow yourself to imagine freely, you are not working alone. You are partnering with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. Your dreams are not random thoughts, but cosmic instructions, waiting to be acknowledged and embraced. The sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow yourself to dream without boundaries. Picture your deepest desires with such clarity that you can feel their texture, hear their sounds, smell their fragrance. Let this vision expand until it surrounds you completely. Remain in this space until the scene feels as familiar as a cherished memory, as though you're simply remembering something that has already occurred. The more real it becomes in your mind, the more magnetic it grows in your reality. Chapter 16. The Symmetry of Relationships. In a small village among ancient hills, Flora sat in her garden, depleted after another draining interaction. Each conversation felt like giving away pieces of herself until emptiness remained. Her shoulders curved inward as though protecting what little energy she had left from the world's constant demands. The universe whispers an eternal truth. What you perceive as energy depletion is merely a reflection of your beliefs about human connection. When you view relationships as transactions where someone must lose for another to gain, the law of attraction faithfully delivers experiences that match this expectation. Your energy field is not a finite resource to be guarded, but a flowing river fed by an infinite source. Every interaction holds the potential to multiply your vitality rather than diminish it. The key lies not in building stronger boundaries, but in transforming your vibration around giving and receiving. In the bustling marketplace of a distant town, Vernon, a merchant, struggled with a friendship that left him feeling hollow. Each meeting with his oldest companion drained his spirit until he could barely tend his shop. One morning, as he arranged his wares, wisdom dawned like the sun through morning mist. Perhaps this relationship was reflecting his own beliefs about energy exchange. Vernon began blessing each interaction with his friend, seeing it as a gift rather than a burden. He recognized that what appeared as energy drain was actually an invitation to expand his capacity for love. As his perspective shifted, something miraculous occurred. The same conversations that once exhausted him began filling his heart with unexpected joy. This mirror principle operates ceaselessly in your life. Those who seem to drain you are actually reflecting back your own beliefs about energy exchange. When you shift your inner vibration from scarcity to abundance, from depletion to renewal, the entire dynamic transforms. The law of attraction cannot help but respond by bringing you relationships that confirm your new truth, that all connections can be channels for increased vitality. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment at day's beginning. Close your eyes and envision each person in your life as a teacher sent by the universe. Breathe deeply and silently offer this blessing. I recognize you as a divine messenger. Through our connection, my energy multiplies. Each exchange between us increases the light we both carry. Feel your energy field expanding with each blessing until your heart resonates with the truth that all relationships are opportunities for energetic abundance. Chapter 17. The Pulse of Purpose. In a small village among rolling hills, Ruth spent her days scanning distant horizons, convinced her true purpose lay somewhere beyond her reach. Each morning, she would climb to the highest point of her town, searching for signs of the calling she felt certain must exist elsewhere. The weight of unfulfillment grew heavier with each passing season, as she waited for destiny to reveal itself in grand gestures. The universe speaks not through dramatic declarations, but through the quiet language of resonance. Your purpose flows not from external validation, but from the natural current of your joy. When you align with activities that light your spirit, you tap into the frequency of your highest service. This alignment manifests not as struggle but as ease, a gentle recognition that you have found your way home. The law of attraction responds to the energy you embody, not the credentials you collect. Purpose reveals itself not through seeking, but through allowing, through moments when time dissolves and your heart expands with natural enthusiasm. In these instances, you glimpse the truth. Your calling has been calling you all along through the voice of your own delight. Consider Emery, who spent years pursuing prestigious positions, believing significance lay in status. His days felt heavy with importance but empty of meaning. One afternoon, on impulse, he began helping at a community garden. As his hands touched soil and shared knowledge with neighborhood children, he experienced a peace unlike anything his salary had provided. Without trying to find purpose, he had stumbled into it through simply following what brought him joy. What appeared to be ordinary volunteering revealed itself as his soul's work, not because it was grand or lucrative, but because it made his spirit sing. The children's enthusiasm matched his own, creating a circuit of genuine connection that no planned career path had offered. He discovered that purpose isn't a destination, but a frequency, one that resonates when we allow ourselves to be drawn naturally toward what energizes us. Your contribution to the world emerges not from forcing, but from flowing. When you release the need to make your purpose impressive and instead allow yourself to be pulled toward what brings you alive, you align with the universe's natural current. Your calling isn't hiding. It's humming in those moments when you lose track of time, when effort feels like play, when you would gladly share your gifts without promise of reward. Practice. Each morning for the next 7 days, sit quietly and place your hand over your heart. Remember moments when you felt most alive, most in flow. Note the activities that made time disappear, that filled you with natural enthusiasm. Let these memories guide you toward similar opportunities in your present. Follow your delight as though it were divine breadcrumbs leading directly to your contribution. Trust that when you move toward joy, you move toward purpose. Chapter 18. The Child Within the Light. In the quiet village of Millbrook, Nettie sat at her window watching children chase butterflies in the garden below. A smile tugged at her lips before she caught herself, straightening her posture and returning to her ledger of serious matters. She had learned long ago to suppress the spark of whimsy that still occasionally flickered in her heart, believing that success required constant gravity. Yet the universe speaks most clearly through the language of lightness. When wonder dims, so too does the magnetic pull of miracles. This truth reveals itself in nature. Observe how flowers turn their faces to follow the sun, not from duty, but from pure delight in the warmth. The law of attraction responds most powerfully to the vibration of uncomplicated joy. Along the shores of a distant beach, Clydene discovered this wisdom quite by accident. Each morning, she would arrive before the tourists, building elaborate sandcastles with no purpose beyond her own enjoyment. She had no audience to impress, no competition to win. Her only motivation was the simple pleasure of creating. As days passed, something magical began to unfold. The morning tide, instead of destroying her castles, seemed to collaborate with her artistry. Shells of uncommon beauty appeared precisely where they enhanced her designs. Bits of sea glass in perfect colors emerged to accent her towers. The more she released expectation and surrendered to play, the more the universe adorned her creations. This is the paradox of manifestation. What we pursue with tight-fisted seriousness often eludes us, while what we approach with light-hearted openness flows to us naturally. The universe delights in surprising those who maintain their capacity for wonder. Your ability to find joy in small moments is not immaturity. It is evidence of your alignment with the creative force that shapes reality. When you silence the voice of wonder within you, you dampen the very frequency that attracts magic into your life. Every laugh is a prayer, every moment of play, a meditation that raises your vibration to match the abundance you seek. The ancient mystics understood that enlightenment feels more like remembering how to play than learning how to be wise. Your inner child holds the key to manifestation because it has not yet learned to doubt the natural flow of good. Practice. Let yourself do something delightfully pointless today, noticing how laughter instantly heightens your frequency. Chapter 19. The River of Allowing. A ferry captain named Gordon stood at his vessel's helm, muscles tense as he fought against the river's persistent flow. Day after day he battled the waters, convinced that mastery meant conquering nature's rhythm. His passengers watched anxiously as he strained against the current, turning simple crossings into exhausting trials. The law of attraction operates through the path of least resistance. When you struggle against life's natural momentum, you create turbulence in your vibrational field. This resistance manifests as strain, delay, and unnecessary challenge. The universe moves with effortless grace, and your alignment with its flow determines the ease of your manifestations. One misty morning, as Gordon's arms ached from another futile struggle, he noticed how gracefully leaves danced upon the water's surface. They neither fought nor forced their journey. They simply allowed the river to carry them. In that moment, he surrendered his need for control. Rather than fighting the current, he began working with it, adjusting his steering to complement the water's natural movement. To his amazement, the ferry now glided smoothly across the river. The journey required less time, less energy, and brought unexpected joy. His passengers remarked on the peaceful crossing, and Gordon discovered that mastery lay not in domination, but in partnership with the flow. The universe responds not to your striving, but to your allowing. When Lucy pushes relentlessly toward her desires, she creates resistance to the very abundance she seeks. The law of attraction operates most powerfully through your willingness to release control and trust in divine timing. Your worth is not measured by the force of your effort, but by your capacity to align with universal flow. Just as Gordon learned to navigate by embracing rather than fighting the current, your manifestations arrive most easily when you cease struggling against life's natural rhythm. The water knows where to flow. Your role is to steer gently while allowing its wisdom to guide you. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and settle comfortably. Close your eyes and imagine yourself floating on a peaceful river. As you repeat silently, "I am carried and supported," feel your body releasing tension. Let this gentle current represent the universe's constant support. Continue until you sense your heart softening into harmony with life's natural flow. Chapter 20. The Frequency of Love. In a small coastal village, Sylvie practiced manifestation techniques with diligence. Each morning she would write her desires, speak affirmations, and visualize her dreams with precision. Yet despite her dedication, her desires seemed to hover just beyond reach, like mist above the sea that never quite touched shore. The universal law speaks thus: love is not merely an emotion, but the foundational frequency of creation itself. When you emanate pure love, you align with the very force that brings worlds into being. This sublime vibration supersedes all techniques, for it is the master key that unlocks every door in the universe's vast mansion of possibilities. Through love, you become a living magnet for miracles, for you resonate with the heart of creation itself. Your thoughts may shape your reality, but it is your love that gives those thoughts their power to manifest. When fear constricts your heart, even the most meticulously crafted intentions struggle to take form. But when love flows freely, even whispered wishes find their way to fruition. In the neighboring town lived Wesley, a humble gardener who understood this truth without ever having studied manifestation. He tended the community gardens with such genuine care that plants seemed to flourish beneath his touch. But more remarkable was how his love affected those around him. Children would gather to help him plant seeds. Elderly neighbors found peace sitting among his flowers, and strangers would stop to share their stories. Wesley never focused on what he could receive. Instead, he poured his heart into nurturing growth wherever he walked. Soon, the entire community began to transform. Vegetables grew in abundance, feeding families beyond the garden's borders. Flowers bloomed out of season, bringing beauty to unexpected places. Most significantly, the people themselves began to change, becoming more generous, more connected, more alive with possibility. The message is clear. Where pure love flows, abundance grows. The universe responds not to the precision of your requests, but to the purity of your love. When you shift from seeking to loving, from wanting to appreciating, you activate the most powerful manifestation frequency available to human consciousness. Sacred practice. As you move through your day, pause regularly to radiate affection silently toward every being you encounter. See each person, plant, and creature as a co-creator of your shared paradise. Feel your heart expanding with genuine warmth, knowing that this love you share is the ultimate creative force. Let this practice continue until love becomes your natural state of being, your default vibration. For in this frequency you become one with the universe's endless flow of good. Part 3. The Light That Remembers. Chapter 21. The Power of Perspective. In the quiet hours before dawn, Joanna stared through her apartment window at the unchanging view she'd seen for years: gray buildings, cluttered streets, and hurried strangers. Each morning brought the same weight of limitation, a life that seemed to shrink rather than expand. The walls of her circumstances pressed in, leaving her feeling like a bird in an ever-tightening cage. The universe speaks in patterns, and what you perceive becomes the channel through which abundance flows or stays trapped. When your vision narrows to limitations, the law of attraction can only respond within those boundaries. But shift your gaze even slightly, and entire worlds open before you. This truth revealed itself through Albert, who cleaned windows high above the city streets. Day after day, he moved his squeegee across glass panels, watching life unfold below. At first, he saw only tedium in his task: the same smudges, the same movements, the same results. Then one morning, as sunlight struck his work surface at a different angle, Albert noticed how the whole city transformed. The same buildings he'd seen countless times now sparkled with new possibility. Moving his head slightly left or right completely altered what appeared before him. Through spotless glass, he discovered that beauty wasn't in the scene itself, but in how he positioned himself to receive it. That day, Albert began approaching each window as a fresh canvas rather than a repetitive chore. He noticed how shifting his stance even slightly revealed new patterns of light, new reflections, new ways of seeing the familiar. Soon, this practice extended beyond his work. He started viewing challenges in his life from different angles, discovering opportunities where he'd previously seen only obstacles. Like Albert's windows, your current view is not the only reality available to you. The law of attraction responds not to circumstances themselves, but to the energy with which you perceive them. Each moment offers infinite angles of appreciation. countless positions from which to witness the unfolding of your life. Ancient practice. When heaviness arises, shift one belief toward gratitude and watch the scene brighten immediately within. This simple movement of consciousness, like adjusting your stance before a window, allows fresh light to pour through what previously appeared as barriers. Let each shift in perception become an invitation for the universe to reveal another facet of possibility. Chapter 22. The Grace in Timing. In a small vineyard among rolling hills, Bee paced between rows of grapevines, checking her watch every few minutes. Each passing hour heightened her anxiety as she waited for signs of her manifestations. Like many before her, she had fallen into the illusion that constant motion equaled progress, that pushing harder meant faster results. The universe operates through an intelligence far beyond human scheduling. When your vibration aligns with what you seek, timing unfolds with an elegance no amount of forcing can improve. This sacred law reveals that manifestation follows the natural rhythm of spiritual ripening, not the artificial deadlines of human impatience. In the art of creation, stillness often accomplishes more than struggle. Just as a flower cannot be forced to bloom before its season, your desires manifest according to the precision of universal law. What appears as delay is actually divine orchestration, arranging countless details beyond your view. Norman discovered this truth among his grape arbors. For years, he had tried to accelerate his wine's aging process, convinced that faster production meant greater success. Each batch fell short of excellence until the day he surrendered to nature's tempo. In that surrender, he noticed how the grapes responded to seasonal shifts, how fermentation had its own wisdom, how aging couldn't be rushed without sacrificing quality. As Norman learned to trust timing, his entire operation transformed. The wine developed complex notes impossible to achieve through haste. His labels gained recognition not because he pushed harder, but because he finally flowed with natural law. His surrender to divine timing became the very key to his success. This story reflects a profound truth. What you seek is seeking you, but fruition follows feeling. When you release the need to control timing, you enter the flow of universal orchestration. Your role is not to force the river, but to align with its current. The universe's timing is always perfect, even when it differs from your preferred schedule. Each perceived delay serves a purpose, protecting you from premature action, allowing necessary pieces to align, or giving you time to reach the vibration of your desire. Practice. Throughout your day, meet each desire with the gentle reminder, "in perfect timing." Feel how these words dissolve urgency into trust. Let calm anticipation replace anxious waiting. This simple shift transforms your relationship with time from adversary to ally, allowing the natural rhythm of manifestation to unfold with grace. Chapter 23. The Alchemy of Compassion. In a small coastal village, Doris sat by her window each morning, watching her neighbors with critical eyes. She noticed every imperfection, every misstep, cataloging their flaws like a meticulous accountant tallying debts. With each judgment she cast, an invisible wall grew higher around her heart, until her own life began to feel as confined as her perspective. The law of attraction works through the vibration you maintain. When you hold others in harsh judgment, you create a frequency of criticism that inevitably reflects back into your experience. Each thought of condemnation becomes a weight that anchors your own energy and limitation. For the universe cannot distinguish between the judgment you direct outward and the judgment you attract inward. But there exists a higher way, the path of compassion. This ancient wisdom teaches that every soul you encounter carries their own invisible story, their own sacred journey. When you shift from judgment to understanding, you alter the very fabric of your energetic field. Compassion is not merely a virtue. It is a force of transformation that expands your capacity to receive good. In a distant meadow, there lived a man named Lester, who discovered this truth through an unexpected path. Each morning, he would find injured birds in his garden, creatures with broken wings, tangled feet, or exhausted spirits. Though it interrupted his plans and demanded his time, Lester chose to tend to each one with gentle care. He created small shelters, offered healing herbs, and spoke softly to his feathered patients. What began as inconvenience transformed into a daily practice of love. As weeks passed, something remarkable occurred. Not only did the birds heal and soar again, but Lester's own chronic ailments began to fade. His arthritis eased, his vision cleared, and vitality returned to his step. The universe had mirrored back his compassion in the currency of wellness. His choice to extend kindness, despite inconvenience, created a resonance of healing that encompassed his own being. This is the secret power of empathy. What we offer others multiplies and returns to us in mysterious ways. When you release judgment of another, you simultaneously free yourself. Each act of understanding creates space for grace to enter. The energy you transmute through compassion becomes available for your own expansion, for the law of attraction responds not to what you demand, but to what you become. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment and bring to mind someone toward whom you've held resentment. Close your eyes and imagine sending them a soft, golden light from your heart. Whisper silently, "I bless your journey, just as I bless my own." Feel the warmth of compassion dissolving the edges of resistance, transforming judgment into luminous sympathy. Let this practice remind you that in blessing others, you become a clearer channel for your own blessings to flow. Chapter 24. The Shadow as Teacher. In a small mountain village, Marjorie watched others' successes from behind drawn curtains. Each achievement of her neighbors seemed to dim her own light further, until the shadows of comparison darkened her days entirely. No matter how she tried to push these feelings away, joy continued to slip through her fingers like water through cupped hands. The universe speaks through every emotion, even those we label as unwanted. When you resist what rises within, you create separation from your own power. These shadow emotions, envy, jealousy, resentment, are not enemies to vanquish, but messengers carrying sacred information about your deepest desires. The law of attraction responds not to what you say you want, but to the energy you hold consistently. When you judge your emotions as wrong, you fragment your vibration and scatter your manifesting power. Integration, not rejection, aligns you with abundance. In the valley below Marjorie's village lived Francis, a gifted artisan whose beautiful creations filled him with shame rather than pride. Each time someone praised his work, jealousy would twist inside him as he compared himself to more successful craftsmen. He fought this feeling, believing it made him small, until one dawn when wisdom whispered, Your jealousy is your desire wearing a mask. In that moment, Francis understood. His jealousy was simply showing him what he deeply wanted to create. Instead of pushing it away, he began welcoming it as a compass pointing toward his next evolution. With each acceptance, his energy grew clearer, and his work began flowing from a place of pure creation rather than comparison. The shadows you carry are not barriers to your good. They are breadcrumbs leading you back to wholeness. When you embrace rather than exile these parts of yourself, you release the energy that was spent on resistance. This freed energy becomes available for manifestation. Your darkness holds your light in disguise. Every emotion serves the expansion of your consciousness, calling you toward greater integration. When you meet your shadows with compassion, you discover they were never truly dark, only waiting to be understood. Ancient practice of shadow integration. Sit quietly and call forth any uncomfortable feeling you've been avoiding. Rather than trying to change it, greet it as you would a lost child finding their way home. Breathe deeply and say, "Thank you for showing me what parts of myself are ready for love." Let the feeling know it is safe to be seen. Notice how acceptance begins to transform its energy naturally, without force. This is the alchemy of compassion, turning what was feared into fuel for your awakening. Chapter 25. The Joy of Service. In a small village between rolling hills, Clara counted her blessings each night with meticulous precision. She tracked every gift received, every favor granted, every stroke of luck bestowed. Yet her heart remained curiously empty. Each morning she would wake to scan the horizon for signs of incoming fortune, her eyes searching the distance while her garden withered from neglect. The law of attraction speaks through the natural rhythm of give and receive. Like breath itself, the exhale must precede the inhale. Those who grasp tightly at blessings often find them slipping away, while those who give freely discover an endless spring of abundance. Melvin, a humble farmer in the valley below, understood this principle without ever naming it. Each season as his crops ripened, he shared the first fruits with neighbors before taking any for himself. He left baskets of vegetables on doorsteps, never waiting to receive thanks. When storms threatened, he opened his barn to shelter others' animals alongside his own. At first glance, such generosity might seem to deplete his resources. Yet year after year, Melvin's fields yielded 3 times the harvest of nearby farms. The soil itself seemed to respond to his open-handed approach to life. Even in drought years, his wells remained deep while others ran dry. The universe mirrors our energy precisely. When we clutch and hoard blessings, we create energetic stagnation, like a pond with no outlet that grows murky and still. But when we allow blessings to flow through us to others, we become like a clear running stream, continually refreshed. This is not about giving to receive. It is about recognizing that giving and receiving are not opposite actions, but rather 2 aspects of the same divine motion, like waves rising and falling in a vast ocean of abundance. The moment we release our grip on getting and embrace the joy of giving, we align with the universe's natural state of endless circulation. Ancient practice. Choose one day this week to perform an act of kindness in complete secrecy. Leave no trace of your identity. As you give anonymously, notice the warm glow that rises in your heart. This is the signal that you have tapped into abundance's eternal flow. Let this feeling remind you that in the highest sense, The giver and receiver are one. Chapter 26. The Blueprint of Vision. A lone candle flickered in Ivy's window each evening, casting shadows that danced like her scattered thoughts. Night after night, she sat watching the flame, yearning for direction, but unable to crystallize her desires into clear form. The universe's infinite potential swirled around her like mist, waiting to be shaped by the power of focused intention. The ancient wisdom teaches us that vision acts as the lens through which universal energy takes form. Just as light needs a focal point to illuminate with precision, the law of attraction requires the clarity of directed thought to manifest with accuracy. When your mind wanders without purpose, the universe can only reflect back that same uncertainty. Raymond, a humble artist living in a cramped apartment, discovered this truth through an unexpected channel. Each evening, he would lose himself in painting scenes of his ideal home. A sun-filled studio with large windows, wooden floors worn smooth by time, and walls the color of dawn. He painted with such absorption that the hours dissolved, each brushstroke carrying the energy of pure joy rather than longing. Upon completing the canvas, he stored it away and returned to his daily life, forgetting about the vivid scene he had created. Months passed, and circumstances began shifting in subtle ways. A distant relative left him an unexpected inheritance. A realtor friend mentioned a property that had just become available. When Raymond first stepped into what would become his new home, he stood transfixed. Before him stood the exact space he had painted, down to the peculiar way morning light slanted through east-facing windows and the distinct shade of rose gold on the walls. The message lies clear within Raymond's experience. Vision coupled with the feeling of natural completion holds magnetic power. He did not strain or struggle toward his desire. Instead, he allowed himself to sink so deeply into the experience of his vision that it felt more real than his current circumstances. In doing so, he aligned his vibration with the frequency of his desire, allowing the universe to orchestrate the perfect reflection. Your own vision need not remain unfocused. The power to shape energy through clear intention rests within you, waiting to be awakened. The universe responds not to what you wish for, but to what you can see and feel with such clarity that it already feels complete within your consciousness. Ancient practice. Find a quiet moment each day to sit in peaceful contemplation. Close your eyes and allow yourself to daydream your preferred life in vivid detail. See the colors, hear the sounds, feel the textures of your vision as though you were already living within it. Hold this scene with the warm gratitude of one admiring an already completed masterpiece. Let your heart fill with appreciation for this reality, knowing that what you can see with such clarity has already begun its journey into form. Chapter 27. The Ease of Receiving. In a small seaside town, Faye walked along the shore each morning, collecting beautiful shells only to toss them back into the waves. Though nature offered these gifts freely, she felt undeserving of their beauty. The shells gleamed like possibilities in her palm before she released them, each one a blessing declined. The universe speaks through the language of giving. When you resist receiving, you interrupt the sacred cycle of abundance that seeks to flow through all things. Like breath itself, prosperity must both enter and exit to maintain its rhythm. To inhale blessing while feeling unworthy is to create discord in the natural order that desires your expansion. The law of attraction responds not to what you want, but to what you're willing to accept. Your capacity to receive directly reflects your alignment with abundance. When you deflect compliments, minimize achievements, or discount blessings, you train the universe to bypass you with its gifts. The flow of good requires your permission to land. This truth revealed itself through Arnold, a skilled craftsman who spent years dismissing praise for his work. Though his creations brought joy to others, he would wave away kind words with deprecating remarks. His workshop remained quiet, his talent hidden behind the veil of unworthiness. Then one autumn morning, when a child marveled at his wooden toys, something shifted. Instead of deflecting, Arnold simply smiled and said, "Thank you." That small acceptance created a crack in his armor of unworthiness. As Arnold practiced receiving appreciation with grace, an extraordinary thing occurred. Word of his craftsmanship spread. Orders increased. Opportunities arose to teach his skills to others. The more he allowed himself to be celebrated, the more his gifts multiplied. His simple act of accepting compliments had opened a channel through which abundance could flow freely. This mirrors an eternal principle. What you embrace expands. Each time you receive with grace, you declare to the universe, "I am worthy of more." Your acceptance becomes a magnetic force, attracting greater blessings aligned with your expanded sense of deserving. The path of receiving requires courage. It asks you to stand fully in your light without dimming your radiance, to accept praise without deflection, to embrace success without guilt, to allow joy without apology. This is not pride, but alignment, a recognition that you are a natural conductor of universal good. Sacred practice. Each time goodness arrives, whisper yes with humility and allow joy to root deeply without apology. Feel the warmth of acceptance spreading through your being, knowing that your willingness to receive completes the circle of universal giving. Chapter 28. The Rhythm of Surrender. In a small fishing village where the mist clung perpetually to the shoreline, Opal spent her days in ceaseless motion. Dawn to dusk she moved like a spinning wheel, checking tasks off endless lists, convinced that constant doing equaled progress. Yet for all her striving, she remained anchored to the same harbor of unfulfillment, watching other boats sail past toward horizons she yearned to reach. The universe speaks through paradox. What appears as forward motion may be circular wandering, while apparent stillness can mask profound advancement. When you chase outcomes through exhaustion, you row against the current of grace that wishes to carry you. The law of attraction responds not to the volume of action, but to the vibration behind it. Forced motion creates resistance, while aligned action flows like water finding its natural course. Trust is not passive. It is the most powerful form of movement, for it aligns your energy with the intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. When you surrender the oars of control, you do not abandon your journey, but rather allow a greater navigation to guide your vessel. Winston discovered this truth on a storm-tossed night that transformed his understanding forever. A fisherman who prided himself on mastery over his craft, he found himself caught in a tempest that defied all skill. The more fiercely he fought the waves, the closer they drove him toward jagged rocks. His arms ached, his strength failed, and in a moment of complete exhaustion, he was forced to release the oars. What happened next seemed impossible. The very current he had battled began carrying his boat through safe passages he hadn't seen. Without his frantic rowing creating turbulence, the water's natural flow revealed its wisdom. When dawn broke, he found himself safely harbored in a cove more abundant with fish than any he had discovered in years of searching. This tale whispers a truth your soul already knows. The universe holds a perspective far wider than your limited view. What appears as letting go is actually letting in, allowing the divine intelligence that keeps planets in orbit to align your circumstances with equal precision. Your task is not to force life into submission, but to attune yourself to its rhythm. Like a leaf riding the river's current, you are meant to move with grace rather than struggle. Every time you release resistance, you accelerate manifestation. Every surrender becomes a step forward. Sacred practice. Find a quiet moment, settle into your chair, and consciously relax your shoulders. Take a deep, cleansing breath and feel peace filling your lungs. As you exhale, silently declare, "I am guided," allowing the truth of these words to settle into your cells. Feel the currents of the universe, unseen but ever present, steering your circumstances with infinite kindness. Let this become your daily reminder that force is not required where faith leads the way. Chapter 29. The Harmony of Presence. In the heart of a bustling city, Elsie's life unfolds like a juggler's performance. Emails answered during breakfast, calls made while commuting, meetings scheduled between breaths. Her calendar resembles a maze of overlapping commitments, each moment divided into smaller fragments until joy itself becomes another task to accomplish. Yet the universe whispers its timeless truth. Power concentrates in presence. The law of attraction responds not to quantity of action, but to quality of attention. When you scatter your energy across multiple channels, you dilute the magnetic force that draws your desires into form. Your power to manifest lies not in doing more, but in being more fully where you are. Consider Julius, who spent years practicing violin with mechanical precision. Each morning he would pre-plan every note, mentally rehearsing until his mind raced ahead of his fingers. His music, though technically perfect, left audiences unmoved. One evening, exhausted from striving, he simply closed his eyes and surrendered to the present moment. As his awareness merged with the music, something extraordinary occurred. The notes began to flow through him rather than from him. That night, listeners wept, transformed by melodies that seemed to carry healing on their wings. Julius discovered what masters have always known. Presence is the doorway through which miracles enter. When you release the compulsion to orchestrate every detail, to live slightly ahead or behind the moment, you align with the universe's natural rhythm. This alignment is what the ancients called divine timing. The law of attraction operates only in the present moment. Tomorrow's worries and yesterday's regrets create static in your vibration, interrupting the clear signal of your intentions. When you bring your full attention to what is before you, you enter the flow state where manifestation occurs naturally, effortlessly. This truth extends beyond creative pursuits into every aspect of life. Each moment offers an invitation to practice presence, to fully inhabit your experience rather than rushing through it to reach the next. Whether washing dishes, conversing with a friend, or watching sunset paint the sky, your presence is your power. Ancient practice. Choose any simple act, walking, breathing, sipping, and surrender full attention to it until time itself softens to peace. Let this be your gateway to the eternal now, where all possibilities exist in perfect harmony. Chapter 30. The Light That Leads Home. In a small village between mountains, Hattie spent her days searching ancient texts and traveling to distant temples, convinced that spiritual truth lay somewhere beyond her reach. Each morning, she would pack her bags with sacred books and meditation cushions, venturing far from home in pursuit of that elusive moment of enlightenment she believed waited elsewhere. The law of attraction responds not to physical movement, but to the frequency of understanding. When you chase what already dwells within, you create the illusion of distance between yourself and your divine nature. Like a fish swimming endless oceans in search of water, your quest for spiritual connection often blinds you to the truth. You are already immersed in what you seek. Consider Lionel, whose tale speaks to this eternal truth. For years he wandered from village to village, following whispered legends of a constellation said to grant immediate awakening to those who glimpsed it. Night after night, he climbed the highest peaks and crossed the widest deserts, his neck craned toward the heavens, seeking these mystical stars. One evening, exhausted from his endless pursuit, Lionel collapsed beside a quiet river. As he lay there catching his breath, his eyes fell upon the water's surface. There, reflected in perfect clarity, shone every star he had spent years chasing. The revelation struck him like lightning. The very lights he sought had always been visible from exactly where he was. His desperate search had kept his gaze so fixed upon distant skies that he never noticed their reflection in the waters flowing past his own door. The stars above and their reflection below were one and the same, just as you and the divine presence you seek are undivided. Your breath, your awareness, your very existence flows from the same source you hope to find. The separation you perceive is merely thought casting shadows on truth. This timeless teaching reminds us that enlightenment is not a destination, but a recognition. When you cease the outward search and allow your attention to rest in the present moment, you discover that grace has never left your side. The divine presence you seek pulses in your veins, fills your lungs, and beats your heart. Sit quietly and repeat, "I am already where grace dwells," until the statement feels like radiant truth throughout your being. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. In these final moments of revelation, you stand at the threshold of understanding that transcends mere manifestation. The journey through uncertainty has unveiled a profound truth. What you once perceived as waiting was actually sacred transformation. The law of attraction, in its infinite wisdom, was guiding you not toward external achievements, but toward remembrance of your divine nature. Each chapter of your life, every pause, every challenge, every moment of doubt, has served as a stepping stone toward this awakening. The middle ground you traversed was not empty space, but holy ground, where your consciousness learned to dance with divine timing. Here, in the space between what was and what will be, you discovered that alignment is not about forcing outcomes, but about allowing your natural resonance with universal grace. You now understand that manifestation flows not from endless wanting, but from the quiet recognition of your inherent completeness. The power you sought was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to remember its presence within. Your journey through these chapters has been a gradual unveiling of what your soul has always known. You are both the seeker and the sought. As these teachings settle into your being, recognize that every word has been a mirror reflecting your own inner wisdom. The law of attraction reveals itself not as a tool for acquisition, but as the natural expression of your alignment with Source. You are not separate from the creative force you've been calling to. You are its living embodiment. In this moment of completion, rest in the knowledge that you have always been home. The light you followed was your own reflection, calling you back to the truth that never needed finding, only remembering.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.